Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Momma Christine's podcast, Living Life Through Experience. This is episode 21, and first and foremost, I want to apologize for not getting the video out last night. Things just got out of control, and timing was everything, and it just didn't time out right, and I was trying to get it done, and I said I'm not going to rush it, because if you rush through things, it just makes it worse. Just let it go for a day and put it out on Friday. So here we are. It is Friday. Again, sorry for being late, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Tonight we're going to be talking about spirits, from angels to guides to loved ones on the other side, and messages and signs and all kinds of things. So like we normally do, let's start with a card and see where it takes us, right? What do we need to know today? A couple shuffles, split down the middle, and there we go. Open your heart. Open your heart. So first and foremost, for those of you who always say, I never get a sign, I never get anything from my loved ones or whatever, I can never see anything, I don't hear anything, I don't get the pennies, I don't get the feathers, I get nothing. You have to do this. Open your heart. Open your heart. First of all, if you've lost a loved one and you are grieving, it's not always going to be very easy to see, because sometimes the grief is so much deeper than the heart opening, okay? And so what happens is the grief overwhelms the heart, so therefore you cannot see, okay? Sometimes we're trying to see it so badly that we're not even noticing it's right in front of us. And that happens lots of times for people. How many times have you lost your keys or something and like, where's my keys? Where's my keys? And you've looked a million times over the same places, and yet, oh my God, there they are. I didn't see those before, because we're so frazzled or so forcefully trying to see or find that we miss everything. So keep your heart open, keep your mind open, and let go and allow. That's the biggest rule. Let go and allow things to unfold. Because what happens, again, if you're trying to control and force, it's not going to happen. Excuse me. Another part about keeping your heart open is also we have to have an open heart in order to connect with spirit, the divine, spirit guides, angels, loved ones. You know, you can't be, for lack of a better term, a negative Nancy, and then turn around and well, I don't understand why I can't hear them. I don't understand why they're not talking to me. Granted, I can tell you, your people are talking to you every single day, hundreds of times a day. Always. The problem is we have to live our lives, so we're not always hyper-focused on trying to talk with them. And, you know, sometimes they can just be da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and we don't hear it. If you need to hear it, it's an emergency situation or whatever, they will make sure it's loud and proud so you don't miss it. And therefore, they're helping you in that sense. But otherwise, I mean, we can only do so much. You know, we can't push, we can't force, we can't let go and allow, okay? And I promise you, you'll see the signs, you'll see the messages, whatever it may be. When it's meant to be, it'll be, you know, what if I miss it? What if I miss it? If you miss it, it'll come back around. It truly will, because Spirit has a good way of like forcing signs on you until you get it. Okay. Which, you know, a lot of times the reason why they show us a sign so often and frequently is because either we're not listening, we're not paying attention, or here she goes again, or here he goes again. And we've repeated the same pattern as a different time. And it's like, oh, they're in that same pattern again. Let's throw it back at them more and more and more until they get it. Because that's what happens. If we don't learn our life lessons, then what happens is they keep repeating themselves, and the messages keep coming, and they're like, are they going to listen this time? Are they going to trust us? Are they going to focus on what's best for them, or are they going to choose a different direction? Because don't forget, no matter how much your people yell at you, whether it's the angels, your guides, loved ones, you have free will. So they can say, turn left, turn left, turn left. And you're like, nah, that doesn't seem right. I'm going to go right turn. then those are your consequences from your actions. It is what it is. But life is much simpler to live if we learn to listen to our intuition, listen to guides, listen to angels, listen to whoever is talking to us, and I'm sure, many of you heard my stories, but it's like, I remember one time coming from Fall River to Westport, to come to Sisters. And at the time I was volunteering at a hospital doing Reiki, and decided I'm going to take go through the city and take the back roads back to Westport. And right before the highway exit, I heard somebody, I swear to you, like sitting in my back seat, yell out, "Take the highway." I mean, I literally turned around and looked behind me to see who was in my car. That's how loud and strong it was. And I was like, "What?" And it was like, "Take the highway." And I was like, "Oh my God." So I couldn't take the highway. I was in the left lane of the 2 lanes heading south. So I could have gone up and made a U-turn and went on the highway at the other side. But I was like, whatever, it'll be fine. Until about, maybe a half a mile from the office, I hit another car who jumped in front of me trying to grab the parking space before somebody else did. And anyway, learn to listen. Find ways to adjust your sails if it doesn't work out in the moment they say something. So like, again, I could have taken a U-turn and went up the highway on the other side of the road, but it is what it is. That was many years ago. But your spirit just loves to get loud, loves to talk to you, loves you. If you have loved ones who, when they were here on this earth plane, who were very funny, sarcastic, pranksters, they'll continue to do that kind of energy from the other side. And I can attest to that because I've done readings for people where, I come through saying things like on a sarcastic note, and I'm like, that's not really me. I said, but I'm feeling like this is what this person is making me say. And they just start laughing. They're like, no, it's fine. That's exactly who they were. And I was like, oh, good. Because I don't want to come across as a sarcastic person if the person's not going to understand who's talking to them, But yeah, I mean, connecting with the divine is just such a beautiful experience. It truly is. It's not one of those like moments, okay? It's not like that. When I'm doing readings, it's like, all right, let's go, guys. We got this person who wants a reading. Let's give them the guidance that they need today. And sometimes it's just like, I hear words. It's like, oh, stubborn. Like, oh, negative. Ugh. Move away, get away. Why are you still here? Why aren't you doing this? These are the little things that I hear. And then when I hear those, they come out for me as a full sentence. Like, I'm hearing from spirit, like, why aren't you moving? Why aren't you letting go? Why aren't you moving on from, those kinds of things? And, it just pops in my head and it comes out my mouth. It's the best way to describe it. And that's how it works. I think people expect that if spirit is talking to you, you're supposed to have a full-on conversation like I'm having right here with the screen. It's like, no, I wish it worked that way. It'd be so much easier for us people who read cards. But no, it's just whatever thought pops in your head, say it, or go with it. You know what I mean? Because, obviously I'm not going to talk to you guys like you're all card readers, okay? Because I know you're not. But, for those who are, good for you. Just make sure you keep following through with what you're doing and just keep practicing until you perfect it, basically, as much as you can perfect something like that. But for all of us regular people who just want to have more guidance, have more direction, more clarity on what's going on in our lives and what choices we should make, it's kind of like when something just pops in your head, go with it. It's like, well, where did it come from? Well, it came from somewhere. It came from an angel. It came from your guides. It came from God. It came from one of your loved ones. It can come from any of those or all of those, we have to learn to trust and believe and take it when it comes, because I think that's the biggest problem is we as human beings tend to be the types of beings who need to see to believe, and I remember from the Polar Express, I love that movie for Christmas, and he said sometimes believing is seeing, and it's believing in your heart, and then you see the results afterwards, and it's like, oh my God, because I believed in it and it was there and now I can see it. But yeah, I mean, we don't have to see to believe. I mean, seriously, it's trusting. It's going with your gut, going with your heart, your feelings, your sensations, your knowings. Sometimes people say, oh, does anybody know? Yeah, you give them an answer like, how did you know that? I don't know, I just knew it. Like, it just comes from nowhere. It's just like, so that's them. So when you hear spirit, it's thoughts and ideas, sentences, conversations. How many of you talk to yourself? Don't we all? That's them. And you're going to say, well, it sounds like me. Of course it does. It is your body. It's going to sound like you. But when you're like, I don't know what to do. That's true. I could do that. You answer your own question and it's instantaneous. It happens really, really fast. And if you have to sit there and go, well, maybe I could do this or maybe I could do that or what about this? Now that won't work. See how it's just kind of like all over the place and it's not quick and decisive? That means it's just you thinking. Okay, so yes, we have the ability to think. We're human beings, but when something is like, I don't know what to do, that's true, I could do that. That quick, that's them. Okay, so listen to that, trust that, because the only thing that gets in your way, other than not trusting it, is your fear of being wrong. Now, let me tell you, I've been reading cards for over 15 years, and every time somebody sits at my table, I have that fear that I might be wrong. But then I have to remind myself that, you know what? Not everybody's right all the time. Nobody is right all the time. And sometimes messages that I get, I may be coming through with the right type of message, but just interpreted differently. Okay? Like I've done readings where like I'm giving them my interpretation of what I'm hearing, and then they clarify it for me by saying, well, you're kind of right, but what's happening with me right now is this. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, now I understand why I was feeling the way I was feeling. So, but nobody's right all the time. But when your gut is like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Oh yes, this is it, do it. You gotta listen. Because every time you've gone against your gut, it's not good. So let's talk about the difference between us and them. So the way I describe the energy of all the different layers is humans are here, okay? Right here at the bottom, okay? Very heavy, dense energy. Now, when you pass over to the other side, you bump up and you get a little bit lighter and freer, okay? And now you're not a human body, but just a spirit. And they're very close to us, being only like one layer up. And so that's why I tell people, I says, when you have spirit around you, when you can feel cold spots. And cold spots meaning you could be sitting there and all of a sudden only your right arm or your right leg gets cold, or vice versa, the left, whatever it is. You can feel it only on one side, is because there's a spirit standing right there and you're feeling their energy, which is cold, or cold feeling, I should say. And that's just one of the ways that you know that your loved ones are around you. Now, how do you know who it is? The first person that pops in your head, that's who it is. Especially if you know somebody's birthday's coming up, their death anniversary's coming up, maybe a wedding anniversary, something to that effect. You'll know who's around you because you'll feel it, you'll sense it. Like, oh my God, that's got to be my dad. You know what I mean? It's like, wait a minute, why do I feel like somebody's around? Oh wait, that's right, it's grandma's birthday today, right? Those kinds of things. But even if you've been like thinking about a specific person that's passed away, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, sister, brother, whoever, and it's like they've just been on your mind, and all of a sudden you get that cold sensation. That's because they, who you've been thinking about constantly, is right there. And when they're on your mind like that all the time, it's because they're right there with you. That's why they pop in your head, because their energy is right there. So that's your loved ones. Now, can you talk to your loved ones? Of course you can. Okay? Just like you can pray, whether you pray to God or the universe or angels or whoever you pray to, you can talk to your loved ones. They can hear you. Okay? How many of you have gone to see somebody like me and like, I'm going to go for a reading today. Please show up. I hope you have something to say. Let me know you're with me, right? And then you go for your reading and guess what? Grandpa pops in, or grandma, or whoever you're hoping will show up, shows up. So they hear you. They hear you. So do you need somebody like me? Not really. Okay. I mean, I appreciate all the people that come to me, but at the same time, it's like we can do that ourselves. You know, if you sat quiet for a moment and just asked whoever it is you wanted to connect with to sit with you and be with you and let you know that they're there, and go with anything that you hear in your mind, a thought that pops in, a feeling, a sensation, something you see or hear or whatever it is, and just go with that. Just go with that. I remember after my mom passed, knowing I could talk with her, you know, I told her, I said, look, tonight I'd really love to connect with you. And once the kids go to bed and he's gone to bed, I said, 9 o'clock, I'm going to sit on the couch and I want you to come sit with me and let's talk. And I remember 9 o'clock, I shut the TV off. I sat quiet. I took a few deep breaths and just closed my eyes to relax for a moment. And I said, hi, Mom, I'm here. Are you with me? And I heard, hi, honey, just in the exact same tone and mannerisms that she said it in when she was alive. And let me tell you, the waterworks just started because I could feel her energy instantaneously. And it was crazy, crazy, crazy. But I know trying to connect with my mom at times, being a stupid human that we can be sometimes, I'm like, okay, Mom, let's talk. Are you here? And I'd hear a noise and I'm like, oh, that's a creak in the kitchen. And I'm like, Mom, are you here? And I'd hear another noise and I'm like, oh, that's just a creak in the floor. And then I'm like, Mom, are you here? And all of a sudden it was like my mother was like, oh my God, you stubborn child, and took the phone when we had landlines, cordless phones, took the phone off the base and threw it on the table, basically. And I went, okay, she's here. Thank you, Mom. I'm glad you're here. I won't be so stubborn next time. You know, don't pass everything off as something that it's not, okay? But yeah, so you can talk to your loved ones. You know, you go with what you feel, you know, and if you hear something in your head that sounds something like what they would have said or how they would have said it, take it. And like I said, are you going to have an emotional moment? Maybe not. Maybe you'll just have a peaceful moment, or you'll just feel like your heart swell with love. You know, so there's different ways of getting these things to happen, you know, and it just let go and allow. Let it unfold and let yourself just enjoy that moment. So us, our loved ones. Now, above the loved ones is when you start getting into guides. Now, spirit guides are people who follow you around, not all the time, but they follow you around to make sure that you're where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing, helping you with different endeavors and whatnot. So now you do have a life guide, meaning a guide that has chosen to follow you to Earth, basically, and follow you from the minute you're born to the minute you die. And it's their job to guide you throughout your life. And that's that little voice that's like, no, don't do that. Yes, go for it, you know, whatever. And they will send you signs. They will put you in a path where you get the messages you need to get. Now, there's other guides that come in into your life that are for other purposes. You know, maybe you're going to go through a very traumatic experience in your lifetime, and it's part of your contract and so on and so forth, and they will be there for that. Okay. Myself, like I became a Reiki master many years ago, 20 years ago. And, excuse me, I have a Reiki guide that works with me. I feel like, well, when I'm doing my Reiki for people, I mean, I'm working with, oh my gosh, any divine being that wants to help, whether it's guides, angels, the person's loved ones, if they want to come in with a message, whatever it may be. And, you know, so my Reiki guide does help me quite a bit with my Reiki sessions by giving me messages or helping me with what's going on with that person, whether they're feeling hurt mentally, emotionally, physically, you know, things like that. You'll have other guides. Again, if you suddenly have children, then you'll have a guide that helps you through that portion. Do they stay with you? No, they'll stay with you as long as they're needed to stay, but then they move on. Only your life guide will stay with you from beginning to end. Other than that, everybody else pops in for that experience and then they move on. So yeah, any new things that come up, you know, whatever it may be, you'll have a guide that'll help you with those as well. So yeah, but guides are kind of like, you're here, your loved ones are here, and now your guides are up here. So you may have a sensation of like, ooh, did that feel like something cold? Like, is the air on? Did somebody put a fan on? You know, so it doesn't feel as cold as like your loved ones, but it's almost like you got that sensation that somebody's there. Then yes, that's probably one of your guides. Your guides can be anybody from any time, any era. People just assume, oh, if they're a guide, they must be, you know, oh my God, with these big fancy names from like 2,000 years ago. And it's like, no. One of my guides, his name is George. Okay. And he's a guide that basically works with me with this property that Sisters is on, because it used to belong to him quite a long time ago. Like, I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, George, you know, what was the time period? He was like 1890. You know, he owned this property, and to make sure this property stays its good self, okay, George hangs around. And it's funny because I have so many animals that come in this property, and I know that can happen for a lot of people, but compared to where I was living before to where I am now, I mean, I get woodchucks, and I get deer, and I get possum, raccoons, squirrels, chipmunks, fish or cats, unfortunately, but hey, they're all part of the ecosystem, right? All kinds of birds, you name it, there's things out there. So, you know, it's a very energized, I guess you could say, property, with animal energy, people energy, spirit energy. It's just amazing, you know. And not to toot my own horn, but like when people walk into Sisters, even walking in, they're like, well, I've had people tell us that as soon as when you come in, it's like a driveway, single lane driveway, and it's like covered with trees. And as they come out into the property, it's like, wow, this is nice. Like, it just shifts the energy. It really does. And even when they walk into the building, like, wow, I love it here. It feels so good. Like, the energy is amazing. Like, it smells nice. It's this, it's that. It feels so positive. It's what you make of it. So that's George. He hangs around for that. So yes, they can have a simple name like George. Okay. Can they have some fancier names that you can barely pronounce? Of course they can. They could be anybody. Okay. But don't just assume because they're considered guides that they're probably some type of a god or a goddess from some century that we don't know anything about or whatever. You know, it's not always the case. I have a guide, my life guide. She is from India, and she's gorgeous, dark skin. She has the red dot, the bindi here, jet black hair down to her behind, and she wears a red one-shoulder dress. And I was just meditating one day, and I'm like, who's my life guide? And all of a sudden, there she was in my face, and I was like, wow, okay. And I asked her name. Until this day, I can't tell you because it's an Indian name, and I can't pronounce it. So, but in the beginning, it sounds like Nina. So I go, that's her name, Nina. So they don't mind if you like shorten their names or make it so you can say it easier. So that's my life guide. Her name is Nina. My Reiki guide, same thing. I want to say he is from a village in South Africa. He's dark skinned. He wears a very rainbow colored, bright colored robe and a hat that's round this way and flat on the top. And he kind of reminds me of like a shaman of sorts. I don't know if you call it a shaman, a medicine man, or whatever he is. But he's my Reiki guide. And another one has a name I can't pronounce. And of course, I'm bad at names anyway in real life. So, you know, names on the other side are not much better. So basically I call him Neil. So I have Neil, and I have Nina, and I have George, you know. And those are three that I know very, very well. Other than that, there are the guides that have come in and out quickly for, you know, a short period of time for small things that have happened in my life or big things that have happened in my life. Okay, humans, loved ones that have passed, spirit guides. Now we start to move above that. There are angels. Now there's all different levels of angels. There are earth angels, there are guardian angels, there are angels, there are archangels. And even once you go above that, it's said that there are angels that are as big as skyscrapers, you know what I mean, that watch over the earth. That is their job, to watch over humanity. And you know, different authors have written books about angels, and you know, there's the principalities, and there's the thrones, and then there's, oh my god, I can't remember the names off the top of my head at the moment, but I mean, it goes on and on. Basically, I work with angels and archangels. Guardian angels are, to me, just people, not really angels per se, but angelic type humans that lived a life that have chosen to watch over people. So can your grandma become a guardian angel? Yes. If your grandma decides, oh my God, I want to watch over my daughter, my granddaughter, grandson, my son, whatever, I want to be one of their guides, and then yes, that guardian angel can definitely be somebody that you knew. You have your earth angels. Now, earth angels are pretty much small fairy type angels. I know some people like believe in angels but don't believe in fairies, but fairies are just a type of an angel basically, and they are the ones who watch over the environment and the animals. They also help us human beings get in touch more with our happy side, because we can be pretty cranky sometimes, negative, and sometimes silly things that just happen and just crack you up out of nowhere. I swear to God, it's them. It's just to get you out of this rut of whatever you're feeling negative about. So, excuse me. The next would be angels, which are, to me, you know, I see them like in sizes. It reminds me, you know, like those Russian dolls, one fits inside the other. It's like that. That's how it feels for me. So you have your earth angels, which are, you know, little elemental angels like fairies, and then you have guardian angels, and then angels, and then archangels, and then it just goes bigger and bigger. So angels are just angels that go around helping people when they need it. To me, they're the ones that sometimes can intervene in our human lives and do things that you just go, oh my God, I swear to God, I just met an angel. And I've known people that have had that happen to them. I knew another intuitive reader who was doing readings at a place one time, and this very disheveled old man came in with the most piercing blue eyes, and he just looked at her and says, are you doing readings? And she said yes. And now what was supposed to happen during this thing, it was kind of like a fair, so you're supposed to pay for readings up front and then find your way to the person you wanted to have a reading with and wait your turn. And she didn't have anybody sitting at her table at the moment, so he came over and she was like, yeah, sit down. And he hadn't paid, but they started talking, and all she said was those eyes, his eyes were just piercing blue eyes. And she said the conversation was just incredible. And it's almost like she knew it was incredible, but yet it was finding it hard to find the words to describe what they actually talked about. And he said, I've taken up enough of your time. I'm going to go. How much is the reading? And she said, oh, no. She says, I don't want to charge you for the reading. She says, I really didn't read you. We just talked. No. I want to pay you for your time. And he reached in his pocket and pulled out a $50 bill and threw it on the table and walked away. And she was like, no, you don't have to do that. And he just kept on walking. She grabbed the $50 bill and ran out front to where everybody else was and said, where did that old man go? And they said, what old man? She says, the old disheveled man I just had sitting at my table. She says he had this old sweater on and these trousers, and he kind of looked disheveled, like his hair wasn't combed properly. And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody came through here. So guess what? Is it possible to have an angel come and talk to you? Yes, it is. Angels can manifest into human beings to do what they need to do for you. Another time, somebody I know really wanted to find something specific at a store and was having a heck of a time finding it. And, you know, the more they looked, the worse it was getting, it seemed. And it's like, oh, I wish I could just find it. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this little old lady just walked up and said, you know what? I think this would look great for you. And she was like, what? And it was the thing she was looking for. And she's like, oh my God, really? Like, you don't want that? She's like, no, I found it and I think you should have it. And she handed it to her and she couldn't believe her eyes. And she's looking down at this thing like, oh my God, I can't believe I actually found one. And she looked up and the woman was gone. Just disappeared. Like, what the heck? Yeah, so angels are all around us. And sometimes you ever get that person who's just extra nice or says something that just makes you think or makes you feel better, and then yet they just kind of disappear or walk away really quickly and you don't see them again? Those are angels. Those are angels. I read a story one time, oh my God, many years ago, because it was in the newspaper. I haven't done a newspaper in 20 years. Anyway, this woman was sitting at a local coffee shop in the car waiting for her husband to go in and get coffees. And originally the woman had lost a ring that was very near and dear to her heart, and she was just so upset over it, and she just prayed that someday she'd find it or whatever. And the worst part, she didn't even know like where she lost it. That makes it even harder. At least you can say, if I lost it in the house, then you just keep searching your house and someday you'll find it. But she had no idea where it was because she didn't even notice when she lost it. And as she's sitting in the car waiting for her husband to come out of the coffee shop, this old woman comes up to the window and knocks on it. So she, thinking, well, it's an old woman, maybe she needs help, rolls down the window and says, oh, aren't you a sweet lady? She says, thank you for opening the window. She says, you really should take care of your things. And she goes like this and hands her something, and it was her ring. And she's like, oh my God, where did you find this? And she looked up and the old woman was gone. Just like that. So yes, angels are amazing. They can help us. They can manifest into human beings to physically help us when we need it. Archangels have jobs all their own. Oh my gosh. So of course everybody knows Mr. Top number one, Mr. Popular, Archangel Michael, because many traditions pray to Saint Michael. Okay, Saint Michael and Archangel Michael, same being. So basically Archangel Michael is the protector. He watches over everyone and everything. He's got the sword. He's got the shield. He fights the devil or the negativity. He is all about giving you strength, giving you courage, helping you to release and let go what no longer serves you, especially your fears, your doubts, and your worries. Those kinds of things. His color is a royal blue. And the reason why I say that is because if you've ever had a moment where you're sitting talking with somebody or you're watching TV, but off the side over here you can see these little twinkles, I call them, like little sparks of light. Usually if it's white, little white sparkles, those are your loved ones. When they're colored, it's usually the archangels, and Archangel Michael is blue. If you need some healing, whether it's emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, however you need it, Archangel Raphael, he is the healing angel. His color is green. So I always tell people, if there's something that you need healing specifically, like say maybe you need heart healing because you're grieving, or maybe you just broke up with somebody, or you got divorced or whatever, so you're grieving in some way, I always say just put your hands on your heart, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and just ask Archangel Raphael to touch your heart and help your heart to heal. Is it a magic wand that makes it go away instantly? No. But it is a way to bring the energy in and just let things heal as you need to. When my son was 6 years old, the summer before he was going to start first grade, he had to go and get his tonsils out, had his adenoids done and whatnot, right? And I remember as soon as they allowed me into the recovery room, I sat down behind him because he happened to have his back to me. And I remember just putting a hand behind his back and a hand behind his neck, and set the intention for Archangel Raphael to bring healing energies into him so he would heal quickly from his surgery. And in my mind's eye, all I could see was this green light go all the way around his neck, and then went up his nose, down his throat, and back out again. And that's all I saw was this constant green light going around, around. Well, I'll be honest with you, between me doing Reiki on him and Archangel Raphael, my son was eating a sandwich the next day, which is very unusual because usually you're stuck on ice cream and popsicles for like a week. So, the best I can tell you is between the two of them. And luckily for me, that did happen because my son at that age was very, very hard to get to eat different things because of texture issues. So basically, him being able to eat a sandwich the next day was a blessing in two ways. One, he got to eat, and two, he was able to eat it. So, Archangel Raphael for healing, whatever it is. I don't care if you banged your toe and it hurts, call him in. Let's see, who else? Gabriel. If you're looking for messages, I need a message. Or you need to be the person who needs to speak up about something, because Gabriel, being the messenger, is all about throwing your voice, speaking out, giving messages, saying what needs to be said. So whether you need a message or you need to say something to somebody, ask Gabriel to help you with that. And Gabriel's color, to be honest, I'm not sure. I want to say it's like what I'm seeing in my head right now is like that dark mustard yellow, I guess you could say. Goldish color, that's the color I'm seeing. I know Michael and Raphael because I use those guys all the time to come with me with my healing, especially during Reiki sessions, so it's easier for me to remember. I don't remember everybody's colors, but you can always look it up. Google will tell you, I'm sure. But yeah, so, if you need that, help me to speak my truth, help me to speak up, help me to speak to people in a way that I can set boundaries peacefully with other people, whatever it is you need. So yeah, and of course the list goes on and on and on. So you have Michael, Raphael, Haniel, Ariel, Gabriel, Jophiel. Jophiel is all about beauty, inner beauty and outer beauty, but it's also about dreams as well. So if you want to recall your dreams more, ask Jophiel to help you recall your dreams and make them clear and vivid. Okay. There's Zedekiel. Zedekiel is good for the chakra system. So if you want your chakras balanced and aligned better, ask Zedekiel to add color, energy, balance, and whatever else you need, healing in all your chakras. Okay, I always say do a chakra balancing meditation. Ask him to come in and help, but envision red in the root, orange in the sacral, yellow in the solar plexus, green in the heart, blue in the throat, indigo in the third eye, and the crown, of course, violet or purple. And there's more, more archangels. But again, you can do your own research on archangels and see all the ones that are listed. But those are a lot of the ones that I work with, So, again, we go us, our loved ones, guides, earth angels, guardian angels, angels, archangels, and then, of course, the other ones are the ones that watch over humanity, I say. They watch over the earth and over humanity. Ever hear those stories? I saw a television show one time, and it was about angels. And it was this school, an elementary school, where two people went in and they wanted their kid back. I think their kid was taken away from them because of bad parenting and bad home and things like that. And I remember they were mad about it, and they busted into a school with guns and held that classroom hostage, basically. So, of course, mind you, everybody knows they were in there with guns, and the kids are in there, and there's one or two teachers in there. And, of course, the police were called, and they were outside. And one of I think it was the father, had a bomb attached to his waistband and was insistent that if he couldn't have his kid back, nobody was going to have his kid. And police tried negotiating, the whole thing. They do all that stuff. But anyway, in the long run, at the end of the story, what happens is he insists that he's going to blow up the classroom. And words from people that were there were saying, all we did was sit in a circle and pray and pray and pray and pray and pray. And for whatever reason, I don't remember the details of how it led up to that moment, but he ended up blowing up the classroom. And of course, once that happened, of course, then the police came in and everything else, and every single one of those kids and the teachers were completely safe and untouched. And I'm like, what? Like, how? Well, as they started interviewing kids and teachers, and these were little kids, mind you, elementary school age, they said, well, we were afraid, but the lady with the big white dress came and held us. I was like, what lady with the big white dress? She was so pretty. She was like an angel. And that came out of everybody's mouth. From the teachers to the children. I mean, how else do you explain a bomb going off in a classroom and everybody dies except the kids and the teachers? Angels have a way of doing things. It's crazy. And I mean, I have a woman I know was in a car accident. And she was by herself. It was on this dark, deserted road kind of thing. And she was like sitting on the ground, not knowing what to do other than trying to call 911. And this woman came over and she's like, are you okay? And she goes, I think so. Are you hurt? I'm not sure. I don't think I am. Like, she was still in shock from the accident. And she goes, well, I'm going to sit with you until the police come. She went, oh, okay. And before she knows it, she hears the sirens, fire, ambulance, police come over. Are you okay? Are you hurt? We got the paramedics coming over. And she says, no, I'm okay. She says, that woman was sitting with me. And they're like, what woman? She goes, there was a woman right here sitting with me waiting for you to get here. She didn't leave my side. She said, there was no woman when we got here. We could see you sitting on the road from driving down the street towards you. There was no woman here with you. She goes, no, there has to be. She says, she was sitting right here with me. It was an angel. How else? What else would you explain it to be? You know, that's the weirdest thing. It's like, what? Like, but yeah, you know, trust and believe that spirit can do amazing things. They can manifest into a human body for the purpose of helping you physically in the moment, you know. To me, there's no other explanation of how they're there 1 second and gone the next, and like, what? Where'd they go? You know. I know it sounds like magic, but I mean, hey, maybe magic is real, right? It's just not in the way we think of it, you know. But anyway, so there's so many, you know, beautiful stories out there. I mean, I'm sure even if you go online and look up different things, what the heck's the name? There's a book that I read. Oh, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. That awful. It's about something about a shack. Something shack. I forget what it is. But it's about this guy who lost his wife, you know, and the whole angels and the shack, and it's wild. There's another one, Heaven is Real. That's pretty recent as far as movies go. That came out not too long ago, and the little boy insisted that, you know, it was God talking to him. So I was talking to God. Like, yeah. Oh yeah, angels are real. I saw the angels. They're all there. Like, it's just wild. It is. It's really, really wild. Another story that you could read is, oh goodness, what is her name? You know, all of times, you know, to have a meltdown, as I call it. It's like, what's her name? Oh my goodness. Next time I'm not going to bring something up if I can't remember the whole story. Anyway, but basically the story is, this is a woman who's connected with Hay House now. She started with Dr. Wayne Dyer. Oh my God. Anyway, she is another person who basically was on death's door. Had pretty much died crossing that line. Excuse me. And she had cancer, and it got to the point things were so bad, all her organs were shutting down. The doctor's like, this is it. Sit with her, talk to her, it's not going to be long now. And she was just going down this rabbit hole. And then before you know it, she was in this beautiful place. And she was talking with God. And she's like, am I dead? He says, well, you're about to be. And he says, but you can go back if you want. And she says, what do you mean go back? He says, if you choose to have a purpose in life, he says, you'll have plenty to do if you go back. Long story short, excuse me, she decided to come back. And as the doctors were just about ready to check to make sure she was deceased and call time, her heart started beating again. And they're like, oh my God. And then her breathing was coming back to normal, and her heart rate was normal, and all her organs were functioning. And they're going, this is impossible. How does this, no, this can't be. There's no way. She was getting ready to call it here. And she woke up. And now she travels the world talking about her story and her book and whatnot. And Anita Morjani, my gosh. Yes, thank you. Somebody up there loves me. Anita Morjani. She wrote all about her story. I read it. It was, oh my God, amazing. I saw her one time in New York City before Dr. Wayne Dyer died. She was on stage with him, and it was beautiful. Beautiful. How does somebody go from basically stepping over that line into the other side and given the opportunity to come back with purpose? And she took advantage and was like, yeah, I'll do it. And she came back, and she's full force, and she's enjoying life, and she's perfectly healthy. There's not a damn thing wrong with her. It's amazing. Amazing. So, they say miracles. Yeah, miracles happen every day. Every day. And it's not just, some of the things that church calls, a miracle, but there's lots of things that happen all the time. And to me, it's just believing in it and having faith in it and trusting what it is. So that's that. It just, I don't know, it just kind of hits me here in the heart. Wow, it's just amazing. So next time you have things happening to you, you're seeing coins, seeing feathers, seeing signs, literal signs, and you're like, I wonder if that's a sign. If you have to ask, it is. Rule of thumb, if you have to ask, it is. If you want a sign from the other side, ask for it. I've asked for signs many a times, and I get my signs. I just had a friend here yesterday that wanted Reiki, and I did Reiki for her, and it turned out her brother, who had passed just over a year ago, yesterday would have been his birthday. And all day she kept running into people that were saying things like quotes that he would say exactly like he would say it. It happened 3 times yesterday. One person she ran into doesn't even know these people, had the same mannerisms as her brother. When she walked in, she's never going to believe what happened to me today. I'm like, how many dragonflies did you see? And she looked at me like, what? She's like, 2. I'm like, okay, there you go. It's just intuitively, this is what I heard. How many dragonflies? And, one of the things, her brother loved dragons. So it makes sense that she would see dragonflies. But yeah, it's just, so it can come through as sight, hearing, feeling, sensing, knowing, smelling. Sometimes you'll smell cigarette smoke or cigar smoke or perfume or aftershave or whatever it may be. It's all around you. It's all around you, and it's always there. They talk about sixth sense. Well, we all have it, so use it. Use it for whatever you need it for, whether it's making decisions or deciding where to go and what to do, and what do I need to know, or what do I need to heal, what do I need to change within myself, and if you hear that constant repetitive, you should do this, you should do this, you should let that go, you should let that go, you need a boundary, you need boundaries, hello, you need boundaries, then listen to that. Don't just think it's a thought that keeps popping in your head. Where did the thought come from? I know we can think for ourselves as human beings, but when they're popping in out of nowhere and they're constantly repetitive, that's telling you something. That's when you want to listen. So I hope you enjoyed our little talk today. And again, I apologize for being a day late, but better late than never, I always say. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed. Work with your angels, work with your guides, work with your loved ones. Know that you have the ability to do it just as much as I do. So yeah, so, you know, do it, use it, enjoy it, make the best of it. That's why you have it. All right, guys, you take it easy. You have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to all of you next Thursday. Take care.